It's the second pole of the year for Tony Green. He's on a hot streak in these final few races. Finally got that first top 10 back at Lucas Oil Raceway last week. And today he starts right up at the front. Same with Al Lagacy in the 01, whose only notable performance came at Calgary earlier on in the year. Sebastian Torres into the wall back there already. But we're racing back. Eugene DeMax started to Tony Green's outside. He's got help on the outside from Andreas Allen. Lagacy trying his best to hold on the inside, sliding up the track a little bit. Green nearly up into Andreas Allen there. Coming off the corner, 3 and 4 wide. Back to the stripe. We're going to need this break to restart single file, I think. But it's Eugene DeMax going to lead lap number 1. Tony Green following behind close in second. Oh my goodness, they've wrecked again under yellow. It was an aggressive move by Justin Carter in the 85 to make it 4 wide into the first corner. 59 and the 85 would get locked together. And the only thing that broke that lock was Sebastian Torres, who got turned into the wall. Surprisingly little damage for Torres. He'll continue, and he was the only car to get a piece of that one. After taking the caution in one of the more boneheaded moves of the season, Daniel Voiles would come up the racetrack. Guerra and Carter were trying to get sorted out, and Voiles shoved them into the wall. Fitzwater Sr., Littlejohn, Jones, Bejenoff, Sanjuro, McGovern, and Lester all get a piece of that one. Damaged about a quarter of the field in that incident, did Voiles, and the officials aren't going to take too kindly to that. As a result of the incident, a number of drivers trying to get themselves back in the proper order. Davidson goes down the racetrack. Fitzwater Sr. with a full head of steam crashes into the back of the number 9. Williams nearly tips the number 9 over. Price with a little bit of damage, and Fitzwater Sr. out of the race. From that, Davidson with massive damage to the number 9. Onboard Daniel Voiles, Fitzwater Sr. tried to make evasive action at the last possible second, got hard on the brakes and swerved to the left, but it was too late. He was going 130 miles an hour, and that leaves very little margin for error, and Voiles oh so close to being involved in that incident himself. Eugene DeMax going to lead the field back to the green here. Tony Green sitting in second, funnily enough. Al Lagacy really lagged back on the restart. Only one car out of the race at this point, miraculously. That's Zachary Fitzwater Sr. And only the damaged cars would come to pit road this time under the yellow. Tony Green sticking in line behind the 90 for now. Top 5, still single file, just waiting for an opportunity to strike. That chance would come even sooner than expected for Tony Green as DeMax washed up the track in turns 3 and 4. That's going to give Tony Green the opportunity, still on fairly fresh tires, to make the move up the inside and retake the lead. Tristan Wilhoit making it 3 wide for the lead into turn 3. He's got the bottom of the track, but as we saw in race 1, it's hard to stay down there. Wilhoit washing up, has to get off the gas in order to make the corner and stay off of the number 32 Golden Corral machine. And Tony Green holding the lead for now. DeMax still challenging on the outside. Have to see whether or not he can shut the door on the 32. No, Green slides up in front of the number 90. Going to pull the crossover here. Caitlin Tsang running 4th in the number 07 car. This could be a huge day for her after Curtis crashed out early in race number 1. This could get her right back into the championship contention if she finishes where she is now. DeMax slides up the track. Green right there as well as the pack going wild behind him. We got Carter, Brock, and Sekuli racing 3 wide there. Wilhoit with another charge in the GCI Discover Alaska. Number 16 up the inside. Can't hold the momentum though, and it's Tony Green going to continue with the lead. Al Lagacy side drafting the 90 through the corner to get himself into second place. Joki Lethinen has proved time and time again that he is not afraid of roughing fenders with HARC's finest. Gets into DeMax there into turn number 3 at over 180 miles an hour, but manages to hold on to the car, and DeMax, despite that contact, gets a huge run off the corner, passing Cortez and going after Al Lagacy. 4 wide racing now for 5th place. We got Wilhoit, Tsang, and Finguy, the hometown boy, in the bright white number 92 Ruby machine at the bottom of the track. He cannot carry any momentum down there at the white line as we saw in race number 1, and he will have to lose a few positions in all of that. John King in the discount tire, number 19, seems to be a force to be reckoned with as well. He's mixing it up with HARC's finest, even though he doesn't have a whole lot of experience on the speedways like these guys do. Grayson Acavito says he might have a loose wheel, and they're going to bring it down to the pit lane on lap number 12. Don't want to risk him losing a tire at over 180 miles an hour. Top 6 drivers, single file, but that would not last long. Tony Green washes up the track a little bit, and Esteves Cortez puts his foot to the floor off the corner. Doesn't have a whole lot of help, but Esteves Cortez looks to be taking the race lead here. Al Lagasse is going to use the opportunity to try and go up the middle, has to fall in line behind the 62, and Matt McIntyre makes it 3 wide. Couple of rows of 3 wide here, and this will probably help the raging pack catch up to these drivers. Tony Green, though, man, that car is strong today, holding on the outside. He will maintain the race lead. A 2-wide race between McIntyre and Williams would become 4 wide when Tsang and Nozomi both pushed to the middle. Tsang washed up the track. Nozomi tried to give room, got into McIntyre, and Finguy, Brock, Carter, Jones, Guerra, Krasta, Kingray, Voiles, Bejenov, and McGovern all involved. Oh, guys still trying to get on the brakes there. Lester, Williams, and Littlejohn tried their hardest, but they also get a big chunk. That's Littlejohn smoking heavily. She's done. Same with the 97, and 58 drives off. He might be able to continue. We'll have to take another look at that one. William Brock would take a couple huge hits in that. As you see, the 58 and the 20 both go around. Jones with heavy contact with the number 97, and Justin Carter comes piling in to the number 4. Luckily hits him in the rear and sends him spinning rather than a hit to the door or something more severe. Onboard Taylor Price, who had to commit to a line there, tried his best to check up, but just kind of had to commit with a lot of cars sliding down the banking, and just managed to nick through unscathed. One more angle, this time from the pit lane. Finguy's going to be disappointed, but at the very least he avoided the end of the pit wall, and he will continue in this race unlike a lot of his peers. Tony Green would go for a 4-tire stop. Not a lot of other drivers did that. DeMax went for 4 tires as well, but Sekuli going to be the new leader. Close call there with Joki Lehtinen. No contact made on the few times Lehtinen has actually cut someone some slack this season. Sebastian Torres, just after completing his pit stop and merging back onto the track, would have something go wrong under the hood. It's been a rough day for Torres. Getting turned on lap 1 now blows the engine. Just destined for failure, it seems he was today. We'll have to see what he can do at the road course of Canadian Tire Motorsports Park in the finale round. Taylor Price with a battery issue with the number 35. He'd need to bring that car in just as they were taking the green flag. They quickly got that battery swap, but he would lose a lap in the process. It would actually be Grayson Acavito leading the field back to the green flag. Sekuli's the race leader, but Acavito trying his best to stay on the lead lap here. He fell a lap down after coming in for the unscheduled pit stop under green flag conditions. Stayed out under that most recent caution, and that put him at the head of the field. Now he's hoping for a quick yellow as he desperately tries to defend Sekuli, Cortez, and others behind him. Harvey challenging up the inside for the race lead. Harvey came into this race second in points, just 15 points back of DJ Curtis, and with Curtis finishing last, this has given Harvey a chance to try and put a trench between them as we enter the final round of the season. Cortez, though, with an enormous run on the top side of the track, is going after Acavito. Cortez has the lead, and in fact a pretty dominating lead over the rest of the field. Sekuli and Tsang battling for that second spot, but if Cortez can get in front of the number 45, he's in a good position to hold on in this mid portion of the race. Kip Pitt would have a very close call, trying to race with Denzel Williams. Williams washes up the track into Engilram, down into the number 19, who's forced onto the track apron there, but manages to save it. Pitt's had a number of great saves so far today, and the driver that number 19, very experienced in this style of cars, and that seems to be paying off today. Sam Curtis around the outside of Leffinen. In front of these guys, Harvey washes up the track into Thaber. Big stack up as a result as Curtis tries to avoid, but gets hooked by the 666 of Leffinen. Around he went. And a lot of rear end damage for Sam Curtis, but Matthew Engilram in the 47, the only other car collected. He's got some front end damage, and that might really hamper his performance as he tries to desperately get back into the points picture. Coming back to take the yellow, things were looking good for Grayson Acavito until he washed too high up the track in turn number 4, had to get out of the throttle, and Tsang, side drafting the crap out of the 45, will manage to get the lead from Sekuli and re-lap the number 45. So close to getting back on the lead lap he was, but he'll have to try again under the next green flag run. Gustavus Cortez up in smoke. The Mexican racer is going to retire from the race early after appearing to have one of the strongest cars of the day. Tsang leads on the restart. Sekuli is going to make a run to the bottom of the track. This may be one of the few times where the inside does not have a disadvantage when it comes to cornering speed. They're still getting up to speed, and so none of them had to check up through turns 1. Tony Green shoving Shelley to the bottom, trying to get the midline going and follow Sekuli through. That's the 900 of Thaber racing hard as well, but it looks like Tsang is going to hold on in the 07 car. 45 taking a look down low. He wants to get in front of these guys in case another yellow comes out, and with the racing that's going on right now, that's not too unlikely. Grayson Acavito running the 07 all the way to the wall out of turns 3 and 4. I'm sure Tsang probably considers him a bit of a nuisance, but this is really his only shot for getting back into this thing, and clearly Acavito has one of the stronger cars out on the racetrack. But Tsang has to worry about her own championship efforts, and Green through the middle of both of them. He's just trying to win one of these suckers, and Green's going to get by Tsang, but Harvey and a number of vehicles have crashed coming onto the back straightaway. Green's going to clear Tsang, and he would lead these guys to the caution flag. There is extremely close racing, and Bunnell would move down a lane into Fox, trying to side draft him, I think, shove him into the 19 into the 12, and that would send Shelley up the track into Harvey. Oh, Carter into the number 74 as Fox nearly rolls it. Sanjuro and McIntyre come flying through. Oh, Price with another close call. Here's another angle of the 53 pushing down just enough to get the 19 into him, and around they went. A lot of damage there for Michael Harvey. Not going to take him out of the race, but that should take him out of contention for any good position here. So number 74 spun like a top after getting hit by the Lithia number 80. It's another bad run for Carter as Carter limps back to the pits with that hood nearly up over the windshield. Pace car back in, 26 cars still out there on the racetrack, and it's Green taking the green flag. Tsang still there in second with Acavito challenging up the inside. He's banking on yet another quick yellow here. Trying his best in the CNA machine, and Wilhoit's trying to follow him through, using that lap car to his advantage as Thaber really hounding the 07 onto the back straightaway. Believe it or not, Fox stays in the race despite his spiral, and Harvey, with his rear end damage, stays in the race. That's critical to his championship efforts. Now we'll have to see whether or not he can make up some spots in these closing laps. Shelley and Mitchell Carter, the only cars out of the race from that most recent incident. Tsang side by side with Green, bumps into the number 32, and I think that's what happens when an unstoppable force meets an immovable object, because Tony Green is not willing to give up this lead, and Tsang wants this for all she's worth. The entire field now ditching Tony Green to the top side of the track, and he's lost the lead potentially here. No! The Golden Corral machine powers back by on the outside. Acavito slips in front of the 32, but Green still holding the lead of the race. And this is why it was so shocking that it took so long for Green to get that first top 10. Sanjuro very slow on the racetrack, and he has nowhere to go, rather, to get away from these front runners. Tried to take a midline there, but they were 3 and 4 wide. No way to easily split the number 6, and Sanjuro going to slip to the top side of the track, top 3 drivers right on through, but the rest of the field is going to have to regroup and charge back up towards these podium runners. Tony Green is getting fed up with that number 45 in front of him. He may have the race lead, but he wants clean track ahead of him, and Acavito is just not willing to give that to him. He lost some momentum trying to make that move though, and Sekuli challenging up top. The 900 of Faber to the bottom of the racetrack, and we're 3 wide into turn 1 behind the lap car of Acavito. DeMax right there as well. He's going to make it 4 wide to the bottom of the track. Oh, so close for this race lead, and you could cover these top 4 in a blanket. DeMax falls back into line, trying to work with Faber. They're going to move up the racetrack to try and arc it down into turns 3 and 4 as Green and Sekuli continue to go at it. Sekuli forcing him down into the midline a little bit, and that might give Sekuli the race lead as he tries to draft off of the number 45, and Sekuli goes back to the race lead. Green's going to have to regroup and challenge once again as Wilhoit charges up the outside. He might jump into second past all 3 of those guys. Wilhoit with a good run off of turn 4 challenges Sekuli, now going after Acavito, who didn't have the best run himself. Can Wilhoit slip by the number 45 to put a solid gap between him and the rest of the field? Not quite. Acavito slams it to the top side of the track and holds on. Near contact there with Sekuli and DeMax. They might have actually gotten together, but they got off one another before they took a nasty trip to the outside wall. Kip Pitt still hanging there as well. He wants to run for this race win. Rubs up against the number 07, the 900, not giving him a whole lot of slack either as the 19 forced back into line. Sekuli still leading, but Tsang with a charge with some help from Pitt up the outside as we get into the closing stages. We've got only around 15 laps to go, and notably we are catching a group of lap cars that are battling for position in front of these guys. Tsang trying to get by Acavito, rubs up against the 45 again there, but has the momentum on the inside. No, can't get it done, and this might leave the door open for Kip Pitt to go to the race lead in the discount tire. Number 19, could he win in one of his first few starts? Behind the wheel of Jonathan King's ride as they hit the group of lap traffic. Pitt to the inside, but Sekuli carries a lot of momentum. 4 wide through the lap cars they go. Acavito stuck behind Brian Fox, who couldn't pick a line there down into turn 1. And Eugene DeMax and Kip Pitt get by quite easily. They're 1-2 right now as they continue to fight through these lap cars. Joki Lethinen sees this opportunity to try and get back into the lead pack, but Allen slowly slides up the racetrack trying to get back into line, and that shuts the door in front of Lethinen as he was coming with a huge head of steam. Contact between the two sends the 39 around. No one else involved as Lethinen comes off with a small bit of damage. Kip Pitt leads the field back to the line, just 9 laps to go. DeMax right all over the tail of the number 19. But what a storybook ending this could be. If Kip Pitt could win as a fill-in driver for the injured Jonathan King, could be very Tiny Lund-esque, really, and adding to a list of storybook endings that we've had in the final few weeks of this season. But Grayson Acavito, never give up, never surrender on the inside, trying his best to get by these guys and catch a quick caution. It would be a miracle for him to have enough time to get back to the front, even if a caution was to come out right now, but he's trying his best nonetheless. And Eugene DeMax takes advantage of Kip Pitt having a rough turns 3 and 4. He's got help from Wilhoit on the bottom of the track, and he clears the number 19 into turn 1. DeMax to the race lead, but Wilhoit can't slip between them as Wilhoit falls back to third, loses a lot of momentum off of turns 1 and 2, and it might be a duel now between Pitt and DeMax. Top 3 or 4 cars have broken away from this hard battle. Tsang going at it with the damaged Curtis for that 5th spot, believe it or not. Taylor Price just behind Curtis. Price is unfortunately a lap down from the battery issue, even though clearly he's got a car to possibly race with these guys for the win. He's not going to get a chance to do it. but Price trying his best to charge up towards Grayson Acavito. He's in the outside looking in when it comes to the championship efforts, but if he can get past Acavito, who knows? Every point counts at this point in the season. The leaders catch Al Lagasse, who's been on and off pit road a little bit in that heavily damaged number 01 car, looking a little bit more like a Whelen modified than anything. And at a aerodynamically dependent track like Michigan, he is dog slow on the straightaways. Eugene DeMax got by easily. Kip Pitt, not so much. Tried to the high side in 3 and 4, but might have got up into the marbles, and that will let Acavito back by. Still fighting with Pitt there as Wilhoit is back up, challenging for 3rd as well. But that has led Eugene DeMax to a big 10-car length lead. Might be all he needs to win this thing. Coming to the white flag this time by, and DeMax has to get off the throttle on corner exit. Got real tight there, nearly got up into the wall. And Kip Pitt with one final charge coming to the white flag. Nearly dead even at the stripe. Andreas Allen, the lap car, comes out of nowhere like a jump scare, and the leaders end up splitting him. Pitt down to the inside. Held the lead into the corner, but could not carry the momentum through the corner. DeMax 10 miles an hour faster on corner exit. Pitt slides up in front of Acavito, who doesn't seem to want to interfere with these leaders on their final lap. DeMax just 2 corners away. Pitt runs it high in turns 3 and 4, and it's DeMax coming to the line. He's been close on a couple of occasions. He probably should have won at Oulton Park, had a good shot at Cape Town as well. But at the Speedway, the super Speedway really in fact, of Michigan International Speedway, it's DeMax going to victory lane in the number 90, finally managing to get it done in that Chrysler. So it's DeMax your victor. Kip Pitt, what an amazing run today. Comes across the line second. I'm sure he's a little disappointed, but that is nothing to scoff at all, especially in one of your first HARC starts. Caitlin Tsang finished 3rd in the 07, passing Wilhoit for that spot right in the final couple of laps. That's a strong performance that might put her in championship contention. Tristan Wilhoit 4th, as I said. PJ Williams comes across the line to round out the top 5. Then it's Thaber, Krasta, Sekuli, Denzel Williams, and Sam Curtis, despite the damaged rear end, will come home in the top 10. Hurricane Michael Harvey has done it again. A brilliant late race charge, despite a lot of damage, put him in 13th at race's end. And this means he will lead the championship going into the season finale. Tsang's podium jumps her to 2nd, while a brutal worst-case scenario race for Curtis has him trailing 40 points back in the first championship lead change since Australia. Harvey's goal will be to keep Tsang and Curtis in his sightlines out the front windshield, because if he can do that, he will likely capture the championship. Tsang and Curtis tend to be stronger road course competitors than Harvey though, with both contending or winning road races this year, so this task will be far from easy. Sidney Krasta, Caden Van Evenhoven, and Taylor Price also have a slim shot at the title, but need top 5 finishes and a whole lot of luck to make it happen. The top 42 drivers and points will be in race 2 at the season finale weekend, while the bottom 42 misfits will be in race 1. Daniel Voiles' abysmal day gives Tony Tavares a slight glimmer of hope in the battle for last in the championship. Tony T will still have to win at CTMP to have any chance of making it out of that last place position. The season finales are all that remains. A pair of 64-lap races will end the season and decide the championship in a 500-kilometer race weekend at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park.